Hey, this is Jason Mraz, and you're watching Noise11.com.
Oh, we're welcome into Noise11.com by way of the Palais Theatre, the legendary Palais Theatre in Melbourne. Jason Mraz.
How are you?
Welcome back to Australia.
Thank you.
I've lost track of the number of times you've been down.
Me too.
About 7, 8, maybe?
8. I know I've been here for every album so far, and we're on album 5, and sometimes we visited 2 or 3 times during the album cycle, so
yeah,
you're probably right, somewhere around the 7, 8 range.
That's right, because the first time we caught up with you, you were flipping a mighty mean burger when you were in town.
That's right, we had a little barbecue to get to know some good folks like yourselves.
And and the rest was history.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we're 5 albums in as well now, which is, quite a collection, and I would imagine that it must start playing havoc with the set list when you come time to decide what you're going to perform for the fans each night?
Yeah, a little bit, but it does make it easier as well because I've I guess through experience and through years of playing, and then where I'm sitting now in my life, I have more songs to choose from to help me curate the best possible set list, rather than having to settle on whatever was available at the time, which in the past, when I look back at old set lists, I wonder how the heck did I play that show? Like, what was I doing? What was going on in my head? So I'm really, really stoked to be where I'm at right now.
Well, this time around with the new album, yes, and quite a different experience in the studio because you're actually in there with a band, Raining Jane, who have not only the Jason Mraz band on this record, but they're also songwriting collaborators with you on this record as well.
Yeah, so I met them right after I finished promoting my second album, Mr. A to Z. We shared a festival together. They were on early, and I fell in love with their musicianship, how they were connecting with the audience, their attitudes, and immediately we decided we would join forces and collaborate. And so for the last 8 years, we've gotten together once or twice a year and sat in a circle and wrote songs. And this new album, yes, is the culmination of all those years of sitting around and sharing ideas.
Yeah, I'm very impressed you called it Mr. A to Z.
Well, thank you.
You are an Australian now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Do you change, is it Mr. A to Z when you're in the States?
Absolutely. They wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
You're
if
translating
I said it.
for my benefit. I'm very, very happy to hear that.
No problem.
Yeah. Obviously, what you've done with the new album, yes, in the studio has paid off in a big way. Number 2 debut in America, which must be, are you a chart watcher at all? But, I would imagine it must be always a lot of fun to see the success of a record when it happens.
It is. I was a chart watcher that week. When I heard that it had a shot at being in the top 10, you do get excited and you want to be proud of your work. Plus, for me, this ride, I'm seeing it through new eyes with Raining Jane. They've never toured or released an album at this level. They've been an independent band for 15 years, so to see their reaction to all the success we're having makes me a proud parent. I'm like really stoked on their success.
Yeah, well, I guess, because it is such a different record, it is taking up a lot of the set list at the moment as well, too, isn't it?
It is. Each night we do at least 7 or 8 songs from the new album, occasionally 9 or 10, but usually about 7 or 8 because Raining Jane has done a remarkable job of learning my old catalog. In fact, we were just marveling over the fact that they know 61 songs of my catalog, which is pretty cool. It's pretty amazing.
Do you remember 61 songs?
Apparently I do. Apparently I do, yeah.
With, the album doing as well as it did, and being such a different record, it sort of, makes me compare the first record to the most recent record. And, you're like, when we go back to Rocket back in the early days, you're sort of mixing rap and country folk, rock music, all into one then. It was considered to be quite an innovative and different musical style that you were developing there. But, it must be interesting for you over the years watching artists after you who've come along and, adapting a bit of the Mraz-esque feel.
Sure. Well, when I look back at it, I see an artist who's always trying to find himself. And, you know, all through all my albums, even my last one, Love is a Four-Letter Word. And I'm sure I'll look back at this album one day and say, oh, yeah, I was just trying to find myself. And that's really what songwriting is. It's me going onto the page and saying, who am I? How can I make sense of life right now? And as using my voice as my primary instrument, certainly on Rocket, I wanted to rap, I wanted to scat, I wanted to have highs and lows, but where I was, I guess, in my spiritual development, my personal development, I had a lot of ego in the way, and a lot of my songs are about meeting girls and just trying to make my way in the world. And I feel when I look at this new album, yes, a lot of that's come to pass, and it's more about being grateful for where we are and being content with where we are, and making sure to remember forgiveness of yourself in the past. Remember to be compassionate with yourself and others around you. What I feel are songs that remind us of, or songs that are for our psychological needs, you know, to help us just remember love in general.
So I guess, you know, to put that first record into perspective, the fact that you were rapping on that record, Eminem was only around for, you know, maybe a year at that point. You know, and you know, like everyone was talking about this white rapper.
Sure.
So you know, when you were doing it, how far left of center did you feel as an artist when you were performing at that point?
Well, I never really felt like a rapper. I felt like I wanted to bring elements of hip-hop that I liked into my coffee shop show. Because at the time, when I first made my first album, I really was no more than a coffee shop artist with a trio. But in addition to bringing elements of hip-hop, I thought I was also bringing in elements that Ella Fitzgerald would have brought to a song, where she might scat and bebop all through a song, which, you know, or the way Bob Dylan would rant in Subterranean Homesick Blues, you know, those types of elements, which I never would consider rapping, but were just the art of enunciation, the art of articulation, and that sort of thing.
Maybe Bob Dylan was the original white rapper?
I think Bob Dylan really was. He really was one of the first rappers. Yeah.
There's not a lot from Rocket that survives the set list now. I think, you know, looking at a couple of recent shows that you've done, you know, maybe a song will pop up.
From Rocket?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a song or two, but you know, I always do my best to acknowledge Remedy and tell it the story of its origin, and I perform it in a new way, and I think it does shift the listening for the audience as well, which is nice. And then surprisingly, we're doing 5 to 7 songs from Mr. A to Z, which that album for me for years just completely had went underground. But with the sensitivities of Raining Jane and sort of a new spin on some of these songs, I've been able to bring them back. We Sing, We Dance is relied on very heavily at the moment as well.
Yeah, is it an album you're revisiting, or is it an album you haven't moved on from yet?
Little of both. A little of both. I mean, some songs, like for example, Dynamo of Volition, which is a really interesting rap song. I didn't play at all on the last tour with my huge band, but when I got into rehearsals at the beginning of this tour, Raining Jane just nailed it. And so it's been in the show every night. But Butterfly's not in this show. So that's a song I've kind of moved on from at the moment. But there are a lot of others that I feel are important for our show. Beautiful Mess is one of the first songs I ever wrote with Raining Jane, which appeared on that album.
Love is a Four-Letter Word is sort of a bit left out. You've sort of jumped right over the top of that record. You've gone from number 3 to number 5.
Sometimes, but I Won't Give Up is such a strong song, and it continues to outsell any other songs on the internet of mine. And I notice the response that we get nightly. So I Won't Give Up is definitely a standard in the show, 93 Million Miles. The Woman I Love. We tease a little bit of Living in the Moment. So that song still does... That album still does find its way into the show, but it's not really a focus. Yeah.
You've got a couple of Grammy Awards to your name. You know, where are they housed?
They're housed in the bathroom of my studio at the moment. Yeah, which I finally think I'm actually gonna take all the accolades out and box them up and put them away for a while, because I never liked the idea of hanging them just on the wall, because I felt the wall should hold place for new ideas. So I started to hang things up in the bathroom and save all my concert laminates and awards. It's all just piled up in the bathroom right now.
Mm. Yeah, quite.
It's a nice little museum when you're in there to wash your hands or whatever.
Yes, help yourself to a Grammy on your way.
Yeah.
Tell me about this avocado farm that you've bought.
Okay. Well, I was lucky enough to acquire this place in 2004, right after my first album came out. And I just wanted to live out in the woods. And I based it off of a tour I took of Bob Marley's home in Kingston, Jamaica, where he had a main house that his whole band could live and rehearse. They had a studio in the backyard. They grew their own food, and they had fruit trees around. I said, I'm going to find a place like this, and found a place in the woods. And it just so happened that all the trees were avocado trees. Mm-hmm. And since then, I've become more hands-on in the property, transitioned all the fruit to organic. They're certified organic. And we have a number of gardens around the house that respond to each season, that feed our household and feed some of our community. And we built a studio in the back right amidst all the avocados as well, which is where we recorded a lot of this new album.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you seen the price of an avocado in Australia?
I have not. Are they up there?
Yeah, I'm surprised artists don't get paid in avocados here.
Yeah,
They're so expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well, food, it's important to make food sacred, and it's important to put an honest, fair price on food. So if an avocado price is high, that means we're paying for the shipping, and hopefully it's getting back to the farmer.
Mm. Well, it's good to get you back down in Australia. I think this is we've had the Yes album out earlier this year. We had you down in Australia in 2013, saw you at Deniliquin, which would have been a lot of fun as well.
Yep, yeah. Deniliquin was great. It was the first time I was really up in anywhere outside of one of the metropolitan areas.
Well, that's right, yeah. And that's about as remote as you can get for a gig.
And we had a good opportunity to see many pods or, herds of roos coming through the countryside with our bus as we made the dash out of Deniliquin.
All those things you thought were just on YouTube videos
were
actually there in real life.
Yeah, it was a cool festival.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Nice. Seeing Outback Australia and getting a sense of what you've probably only seen in movies before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, good to get you back here, Jason Mraz. Thank you for joining us here at noise11.com.
All right, thanks for having me.